What's good with the people? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody preparing for a week. Their upcoming week. You know what I'm saying? But check this out real quick. I was watching Math Hoffa. He had an interesting topic on there. He had a topic of who could defeat Jay Z in a versus battle, right? So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Who can defeat Jay Z in a versus battle? Now, during there, everybody has some good ass points on there, right? One of the guys was talking about how one of the younger guys was talking about basically, like he was like Jay Z didn't really, what I'm saying, couldn't really make a song, right? And he had me thinking. And Math and everybody else on the show was like, nah, you gotta decipher, what I'm saying, Jay-Z rhymes. Nigga like, but when you sign a contract, you gotta sell records. That's the whole purpose of selling records, right? So I want to touch on that real quick. Can we get on that? Now, can anybody defeat Jay-Z in a versus? Yes. Okay? I do believe, right? Now, let's make one thing clear here, right? Let's make one thing clear. Right now, we're talking about right now, right? In order to get to right now, we got to go to the past, right? Now, keep in mind, right? Keep in mind, I was listening to this young man. I was listening to his points. And some of the shit was like, I actually, what I'm saying, I said that. Now let's take into for granted right now. Let's take into granted. Well, let's take in. My bad, y'all. I said that the wrong way. Let's take in consideration, right? That Jay Z right now is the biggest hip hop artist. If Jay Z dropped right now, majority, especially my generation, is definitely gonna go sit up here and pick it up, right? Now, let's smoke and let's go back to the past and let's talk about the first time we heard Jay Z rap. And I'm not talking. I'm talking about the first time he put out an album, right? His first album, Reasonable Doubt. Now, when Reasonable Doubt came out, Jay Z was not selling records, and not in that time frame. Do anybody remember some of the best songs that came out in 1996? Hell, you had All Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me was by far was being blasted East Coast, West Coast, down south, right? Now, if you're saying a Jay Z moment, a Jay Z moment, in my eyes, right? Jay Z would have two moments, right? One moment is the fact that he was on Life After Death, right? And even with Biggie being on Reasonable Doubt still did not sell, right? Let's get to the next Jay Z album. What was the next Jay Z album? 1997, Volume 1. Jay Z wasn't selling in. Now, in both cases, right, in Reasonable Doubt, he had Ain't No Nigga. He also had the song featuring Biggie, right? Which everybody, you know what I'm saying, love. At the time, I had a family member from New York. Love that fucking song. You know what I'm saying? And it was more about Jay Z lyrical ability to see if he could keep up with Big, which he did, which then he was on Life After Death, right? And even with that push being on Life After Death, right, in 1997, Jay Z still was not the hottest hip hop artist in 1997, right? So Big lightweight dominated that year, and I'm trying to think of 97. What was that? You had a lot of cult classics that started coming out, right? Some might argue, what 96 and 97 was that Outkast also coming out with their second and third album. Good ass question, right? 1999, no. I mean 1997, Puff Daddy was selling records. Mace was selling records, right? Jay Z was not in that list. 1998, right? And he had a strong year in 1998 because that's the Annie, right? But check it out. There's also Lauryn Hill. That's also DMX, right? And that's not even talking about the pop artists that was out: Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, Shania Twain, Elton John, Sting. Well, that was Diddy too, taking that shit. So it's almost like youngsters, he has a point. Because let's really keep it 100 with you. What really put Jay Z over the top, as we about to come into, is Blueprint, right? So, 1998, you also had Usher, right? Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like, yeah, like. So then we get into 1999. 1999 is kind of the same thing, right? Master P is dominating that shit, right? And what Jay Z album is 2000? Eminem. We forget about Eminem, right? We forget about Eminem. Nelly is about to start approaching. Nelly up 2000. That's Nelly. So Jay Z was not selling. Ja Rule about to hit. Then we get, and if you notice something about Jay Z albums, right? Especially, um, what's that album? The album he had in '99. Oh, what is the album that he had in '99 with the Big Pimpin' album? To me, if you start noticing and peeping Jay Z albums, right? Jay Z started to adapt to the times. So you see that in that South, he had the South hit, right? Even had Juvenile was on that album, right? Then you get the Dynasty. What did the Dynasty sound like? That was more West Coast. You had a West Coast. That's the song with Beanie Siegel. Forget the producer from the Bay Area that did that, Rick Rock, right? So Jay Z is trying to sell records at this point, okay? He got different styles going on. Of course, we know the famous 2001, but that was Dr. Dre's shit. Even though he wrote, that was Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre did 2001, right? Blueprint. was 2001 as well. And of course, what made Blueprint, let's take away the Nas shit for a second. Blueprint is a dope ass fucking album. It kind of sets the tone for the new music that's about to take place after Jay Z. Because everybody started, and we all know that, you know, Big Pun, you know, he had the Just Blaze first. Just Blaze was doing a lot of shit. So Jay Z, hey, even uh, what's his name? Ghostface. Okay, Ghostface. Jay Z started implementing different styles. Okay, and especially in 2001 when you get Kanye West, you get that beat, then beats. So let's keep it 100 with you. Jay Z, I do think it would be hard for anybody to beat him because he does have a lot of hits. He's been in the game for a long time, but at the time, at certain time periods, he was not the best. He just was not the best. Okay? When we when you think about it, right? Nobody ever says Reasonable Doubt is their favorite Jay-Z album, right? Nobody's gonna say his second album is their favorite album, maybe but me, because I fuck with the second album. The third album, Hard Knock Life, Volume 2, is when people start, okay, that's, but for the majority, Black Album and Blueprint 1 is probably, and Watch the Throne is probably people's favorite Jay Z album. Kingdom Come, Magna Carta, and Magna Carta was, you know, that was kind of controversial in sales because that only sold because of the phones. A million people bought the phone, so a million people automatically had the album downloaded on that, you know what I'm saying, on their phone. So I will say to keep it 100 with you, right? A young man like Ray telling the truth, okay? He telling the truth. Like I lived in that era. Now we're not talking about Jay Z's verses as far as his verses, his 16s, his 24s, his 48. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about our verses. I do think Jay Z might be able to, you know what I'm saying? But there will be a lot of songs that a lot of people not gonna fuck with because they not gonna know. Okay? When you sign a deal, it is about selling motherfucking records. You put Ja Rule in the early 2000s on a song, it's automatically platinum. 50 Cent, he platinum. Mace, gold, platinum, right? So, and let's keep it 100 with you. Even, and I ain't even, we ain't even brought up Nas. I forget what is that? I Ruled the World came out. That's 96, if I'm not mistaken. So, Jay, and even Wu Tang was, you have Wu Tang in 96. So let's really be honest with you. I know I went back, but what I'm trying to say is, yeah, Jay, we fuck with Jay Z, right? Because Jay Z has been around. It's like McDonald's. When a motherfucker been around for so long, right? Then you bound to sit up here and be like, yeah, well, he's in my top five. But when we get down to the quality of it, some might argue Nas makes better music and Jay Z had the better producers. So see, that's where he was also talking about opinions because guess what? People are going to sit up there and say Jay Z. The same amount of people are going to say Jay Z verses are layered. Is going to say Nas verses are layered. But what about the Ghostface? What about the Ray Kwans? Okay. What about the Roz Cause? There's a lot of there is cannabis. There is a lot of artists, rap artists, who flows and whose verses are layered. It's just not Jay Z's. We have to keep it. It's just not Jay Z's. Jay Z is not just the only artist whose flow and whose verses you can break down. You know what I'm saying? Some might say Jay Z got 8 on the song he did with Eminem. You know what I'm saying? Two, one thing also what Jay Z did, right? And I'm not sure if it was him or if it was MTV, but one of the dopest motherfuckers ever to ever touch the mic, and we don't even bring that up when Will I Am said Black Thought is better than Jay Z, right? Now, since it's right there, I totally fucking agree. Go listen to some old motherfucking Roots. We in the West Coast, we fuck with the Roots. Well, I know I fucked with the Roots. The first time I really fucked with the Roots is, of course, you know, now it's coming out that Biggie never said nothing about the Roots on Flavor in Your Ear remix. But when I heard their response in the video, I seen the video back then, I knew Black Thought could spit. Hell, Black Thought is on goddamn Big Pun. I'm gonna do a lyric breakdown on Black Thought because Black Thought is motherfucking. He's dope. Lyrically, I don't think Jay Z could fuck with him. But it's funny during the MTV thing, if I'm not mistaken, he used the Roots, right? He used the Roots band. Now, like I said, I don't know if that was him to request that, if that was MTV, but I felt like this is why I feel with Jay. I do feel like Jay put in the goddamn work. So we're not gonna say Jay not lazy when it come around doing albums and doing because he did consecutively. Okay, album wise though, the young man had a good point saying DMX was the closer of Jay Z's concert. So yeah, like when we are talking about verses, and I'm talking about 16s, Black Thought is definitely hanging with Jay Z. song for song, verse for verse. And we're not even getting to Black Thought's new shit. We can get to his old shit. We can play some old roots. Let it play out. Listen to some fucking Jay-Z. Listen to Black Thought. Black Thought by far is, I don't want to just get this on Black Thought, but my opinion is Black Thought is better than Jay-Z. If you're talking about hits, if you, of course, Jay-Z got more hits. He got way more features than Black Thought. Jay-Z, to me, kind of was bridging rap so we can get the features. You know, back in the days, an example, everybody was, when All Eyes on Me came out, everybody was in awe with the Wu-Tang, Redman and Method Man feature. Mace, when he came out with Harlem World, he had the 8 Ball and MJG, right? There are certain features, hell, Cameron and Master P, right? There's certain features that are just too fucking like, yeah, and that's what Jay-Z to me brought into the rap game. He brought the feature part. He studied the game and he understand, hey, look, let me get this person on my album. I can also sell more with doing that. He got way more features than us. When you look at a Jay-Z album, right? Go to Blueprint. Hell, we can look at the features that he would have. Features and a million and a producer. You can't go. You're not supposed to go wrong with that, with Jay-Z. But in the time frame, everybody was outselling Jay-Z. So, you know, I did want to put in my little 2 cents into that little debate. And I wanted to defend the young man because I feel like he telling the truth. And he didn't even live in that era. So that must mean that to a certain extent he is what they were saying, well, the OG was saying, a hip hop connoisseur. Right? If we just gonna be honest, we gotta be honest, right? We can't. This the thing that sometimes bothers me. Sometimes when you debate somebody from New York, when it comes to Jay-Z or even Nas at a point, right? If you're not gonna bring up the beginning, don't bring up Ether on. You gotta bring up the beginning. Jay-Z, any artist, you gotta bring up their beginning. And we kind of forget Jay-Z's beginning because he has been around for so many years. Since 1996. Look at how many artists is not around. Even your R&B artists, your group artists that was selling at the time. Pac not around. Cypress Hill not making music no more. Bone Thugs about to come out. But remember, they were hot at a point. We heard Bone Thugs more than we heard Jay-Z. We heard Outkast more than we heard Jay-Z. We heard a lot of artists before we heard Jay-Z. Jay-Z didn't start coming into the picture into the 2000s Understand that. So like I said, I just wanted to put in my word up on there real quick. Cause I feel like, hey, look, if we gonna be honest, we gotta be honest. We can't sit up here and blur the lines. We can't blur the lines. We can't do that shit. We gotta keep it all the way 100. I'm out.